What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to Liquid Kernedge.
Liquid Kernedge, baby.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, nothing much, man. I'm having a dream today, buddy. I'm having a dream. I've started working out again.
Have you?
Yeah, I started running again. It's been a while since I started running.
How does that feel? Does it feel good on you? You start to get back in the system, back in the flow?
Yeah, and I hate the first couple weeks of running because your heart and lungs are saying, what the heck are you doing?
I think that's in any exercise program, though. I mean, I do CrossFit, and if I take a couple days off, a week off even, for vacation or what have you, the first couple days back feels like everything has been undone that I've been building toward. You know, my body's sore again. I can't breathe. God forbid I have to run 400 meters because it sucks.
Well, and that's what I'm reading. I ran 3 miles yesterday. I ran 3 miles on Saturday, and I was dying.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was dying. And I'm feeling it in my legs already. So, well, wish me luck, man. Wish me luck.
I wish you the best of luck. I know you're a very accomplished runner. You've done half marathons. You've done way more running than I will ever do in my lifetime. I guarantee it.
Well, yeah, and I enjoy it. See, I think you have to always find an exercise you like. That's the
true.
key.
That's very much true. I enjoy lifting heavy things at a fast rate, so I enjoy that. And you've tried that. That's why running is your thing and CrossFit is mine.
Yeah, CrossFit. There you go.
But you know what's funny about both of them, and that's going to lead us into today's topic.
Okay.
They're both kind of fads. Exercise has always been a big fad. It's like people start it, and then they just kind of quit, you know?
Well, is it exercise in general or the different types of exercises?
Different types of exercises.
Okay.
Exercise in general is needed. The doctors always say you need, 60 minutes of exercise a day, a couple times a week?
I think they say that, at least 3 to 4 hours a week is what you need. And the people who are in really good shape, I mean, they work out 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah. I don't
like the movie star actors that, I mean, you can just tell they work out all the time. That's what they do. Yeah,
but the different kind of fads they have, and sometimes fads turn into just regular, routine. Is that the best way to call it? They just happen. They just start off with the most crazy things, and you hear what people are doing for exercises in this case, and you're like, why the hell are you doing that? When I first heard about Zumba, this is
Zumba. That's the dancing one, right?
Yes.
That's the one. Well,
I honest to God thought it was like the 80s came
like
back.
The leg warmers.
The leg warmers, Jane Fonda aerobics came back out of nowhere.
Maniac
exactly.
on the floor.
Exactly. And I'm not knocking Zumba. I think if you like it, it's your thing. More power to you. But I just did not understand what kind of weird fad it was. But apparently it's got some legs and it's sticking because a lot of people really love to do Zumba. So I say more power to them.
That's good. That's good.
But, what kind of got on today's topic was some coworkers and I were walking around our office building yesterday for some exercise.
Exercise, good.
Exercise. And one of my coworkers found one of those painted rocks that's going around.
Yeah, I've heard about these on Facebook, right? Where the people paint a rock or do something and then they put it.
They hide it somewhere. And on the back of the rock they put, post to such and such a page on Facebook and keep it or re-hide it. And my coworker was so excited to find this frickin' rock. I mean, and it was cool. It had a very, someone did a really nicely, painted penguin on it, so it was cool. But I got to thinking, how did this even become a thing? And what are the frickin' fads that we've had over the, my lifetime, your lifetime? And does everything really come back around in cycles? Because they say fads come back in 20-year cycles.
Oh, okay.
So
but when they first start, they're a fad. And then 20 years later, they're a retro. Like you're going retro.
Is that how it goes?
You know what I mean? Like you're going retro. Like, oh, that's so cool. It's kind of like a Mustang in the 60s was huge, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Then it kind of deteriorated. And then the early 90s, they decided to go back to the original body style.
Cooler looking body style.
The cooler looking body style. So it took like 25 years. And then they said, hey, why not just go back to what works? What's the original look?
I agree. It's funny because my first car was a 1990 Mustang. And it was not the cool looking kind.
Yeah,
it
was the one from Will Smith's 5.0, where it had the indentation, but everything else looked like a Pinto kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What made it worse, it was a 4-cylinder with a 2.3 liter engine, so it wasn't even a fast Mustang. It was good luck getting to 55 miles an hour Mustang.
But I bet it was paid for.
Yes. But so this rock, she found this rock. She's so excited. She posted the thing to Facebook, and it got me thinking about the pet rock craze of the 80s.
I think that might have been in the 70s too. That might have been retro like 4 times because
does that keep
I remember
coming back
as a
around
kid that there were rocks but we made them. That's the difference. Like we made pet rocks, so we would go find a rock and put a marker and basically paint a face on it.
So this is really not that different, except you're painting a face on it, and you're putting it for someone to find.
Yeah, and but I've seen some of the pictures of these rocks, and they're pretty. Some of the artistic pictures are beautiful.
Oh, they do a really great job with it.
And then some are just kind of childish
yeah, but it's funny how you look at things and how they come back in fads. Boy bands, for example, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we're about to see I'm sure a resurgence to that over the next 5 to 6 years. But
yeah,
but if you go back to the late 70s and the 80s, between the Commodores, Menudo, the Jet, just other bands like that started off as young singers singing pop, and then they broke up, and then there's always at least one successful person in the group, the Lionel Richies, the Justin Timberlakes, what have you.
One of them becomes a big time
star, and for every Justin Timberlake you have a Joey Fatone.
And he found success in other ways.
He did.
Stars.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I should.
He did a TV show.
For every Justin Timberlake, there's a Chris Kirkpatrick.
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I don't know who that guy is.
Exactly. But music goes in cycles, and everything happens in a cycle for one hot minute.
So, what do you think the definition of a fad is?
A craze, man.
Just a craze, like instant craze. Like right now,
fidget spinners.
I was gonna say the fidget spinner. Right now, kids go crazy. I remember 2 years ago there was a game on an app that you could walk around.
Pokemon Go.
Okay, yeah. I never played it.
Me neither.
But that was huge, too. I saw a bunch of people walking with their phones, about ready to walk into a street, about ready to walk into something. And
I actually had, I guess, one of the monsters you could catch in front of my house. So people would stop in front of my house all the frickin' time to try to catch this frickin' monster. And it got so bad, I was pulling out to go to work one morning. I looked up, there's no one there, and I looked back up, and there's a kid standing right behind my truck, just not even paying attention.
There was a monster right in front of your house.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Oh God, I had a friend live with me at the time, and she was so obsessed with this game that she was so excited to find it was out there. But after you caught it once, you couldn't catch it again.
Oh, so your house was special though. You had the special monster.
They were all over the place.
Oh yeah.
There just happened to be one right in front of my house, which was just dumb.
So what do you think makes a fad so cool? Like, what do you think makes a fad become a fad? Because whether it's diets, exercise, regimens, clothing, or different styles of clothing, it becomes big and it becomes popular for that moment, and then it goes away, it's gone.
I don't know. I don't know if it's something that's a new take on something old, an original idea. I don't know what makes it so popular.
Like the fidget spinner. Well, I mean, I played with them, and they are kind of addicting because you just sit there and just spin it, and you go wee. It's kind of like you're distracted or something.
But is that good for society? I mean,
I don't know. A lot of kids,
a fidget spinner.
A lot of parents say that their kids actually helps them focus because their mind isn't racing or going in another direction. I mean, I guess anything's possible. I've heard a lot of teachers say it's a distraction, and no offense, when you drop that sucker. It goes flying, man. Like if you drop a fidget spinner, it goes flying.
I don't see the value or the benefit of the fidget spinner. And if I say midget spinner, excuse me.
Wow. Not a midget
spinner. It's not a midget spinner. It's just they're so closely together in words. But I don't.
Well, I remember the diets. I mean,
South Beach diet.
There are diets out there that people go on, and that's the rage. Mm-hmm. And the diet now it's called, I guess, keto. The keto diet. Keto. I'd never heard of it before.
It's mostly fats.
Now I'm hearing about it all over the place. Like that's all. I'm on a keto. Oh, I'm on keto. Oh, I'm on keto. I'm on keto.
Yeah.
How do fads even start?
I don't know, man.
How does a fad even start? Like, who comes up with the idea of the keto diet and then sells that, and then keto, that's good. Keto.
I go back. My gym is doing a competition right now, like a weight competition, not like lifting but losing weight. And you can join different teams. You can join the keto team, the paleo team. Different teams of different eating styles. And paleo is also a fad that kind of comes and kind of goes, and that's the idea that you eat food that was only around during the Paleolithic era. So nothing processed.
Oh, okay.
Just like meats, certain grains.
Yeah, I see. So they try to make it easy for someone to say, if you wouldn't find it in the paleo era, then you're not going to be able to
it's
find it.
off
Okay,
limits.
that makes
And
sense.
keto, I've been watching them, on this keto thing, and I want to say it works. I know it's mostly fats, so they're happy about eating a lot of bacon, a lot of cheeses, whatever else. But there's no grain, there's no carbs, and that's the big thing. If you're gonna lose weight on these diets, it's the no carbs. That's what really helps people lean out and burn everything.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like those New Year's resolutions, though. I mean, people make a New Year's resolution, and it's real good up in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I'm dedicated, I'm into it, but then it becomes a fad, and now I don't want to do it.
Well, that's the funny thing. I used to work at, my office used to be inside a gym.
Oh.
Like when I first got hired at our employer, our office was inside a gym, a fitness center, just because that's the way office space was in our company.
Oh, okay. So that's before you moved to
where we're at right now.
The glass castle.
The glass castle here, yeah. And they had no desk space for me, so they put me at the secretary's desk up front, in front of a glass wall. And with that glass wall, I got to watch everything. So I got to learn about the cycles of fitness. And fitness, you can tell, is very much a fad to a lot of people, because at the first of the year, with your New Year's resolution,
big time push.
It's packed, man. It's going, and it lasts about 2 weeks. Then someone pulls a muscle, or life gets busy, and they never get back. And it would always drive me crazy, because those people that were never going to stick around were the ones that were texting, sitting on the weight benches, not knowing what they're doing, and just getting in the way. And I'm a gym rat. I'd like to go put my headphones on when I'm in that gym and just do my own thing.
Okay, so you're not a talker, you're not a socializer.
Not in that environment. Like I'll talk in the gym I'm at now, because it's a class-based system. But when it's just you,
just go.
I just want to lift. I just want to do cardio. But after the New Year's resolution, it would fade out, and then spring would be on the horizon. So it'd pick back up again, because people want their spring bodies.
Oh yeah, right.
And it'd pick back up, and then it would die off after spring break. And then you have to get your summer body. And school's out, so people are trying to get all in it for the summer, and then it dies out, and then it's just cyclical. It's, then school's back in, time to get back on a routine. So we'll take Johnny to soccer practice, and while he's playing soccer, I'll come walk on the treadmill or whatever else, and then they'll come back, and then it's.
If you were to look at the history of your life, do you find yourself that you are, you engage in fads of the times on a regular basis, or do you find that you're the type of person that you're not into fads that much?
It's funny. I yes and no. I think it depends on the fad.
Okay.
Some fads, I'll fully admit, yeah, man, I got into it.
Like, what? Give me an example of a fad that you like. I jumped hook, line, sinker in.
It's funny. It happened a few years. Yeah, this is embarrassing to say, but
that's why we have a podcast.
That's why we have a podcast.
Because don't worry, no one is ever gonna. Never's gonna ever judge you.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go on @Liquid Kernedge on Twitter or Facebook and make a post.
Yeah, right. Cheap plug. When I was 21 years old, malt liquored beverages were all the rage instead of beer. So that's when Zima was finally going away, but Smirnoff Ice was coming out, and Sky Vodka was coming out. Yeah, all
Zimas.
that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, I wasn't quite okay with the taste of beer, so I would drink that, and I thought it was great. And then all of a sudden, Sky went away, because that's the one I drank the most. Smirnoff was still around, but I guess that would be a fad. I got caught up in that fad, because that would be all I would drink.
And is the fad something because it's popular at the time? Is that what makes it a fad? Because like I think about, I used to think people just going to a bar like a cigar bar to smoke cigars when you don't smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I could never understand what was the appeal of that. But there was a lot of people for a long time in the 90s that would go to special bars where they allowed, you could buy a cigar and smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
But they weren't smokers. They were just,
patrons.
Yeah. Like I remember when I was a younger man, they had the Swishers, those little
Swisher Sweets, yeah.
Swisher Sweets, and we'd smoke those and play poker. And I thought, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. But because I'm not a smoker. But
well,
but like, is it a fad if does a fad have to be constituted as a fad when it goes to mainstream?
Is it a rite of passage more than anything else? Is my question. Is something that's maybe a fad because you're younger?
Like this spinner thing, I think about this little fidget spinner. That like exploded quickly.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know where a fad starts. Like, how did that even start? And then everyone and stores were out of it, and everyone, became enamored with the fidget spinner, and parents were spending money to try to find fancy fidget spinners. And so I wonder how does it have to be nationally recognized in order for it to be a fad?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, if it's not nationally recognized, then how did Pokemon Go become a thing? Because that got so big so quick. They were trying to push movie rights to do a movie on this. They're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And that's maybe what it is. It's something that happens so fast, you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and you're going to bleed that thing to death.
And maybe the thing about that though is now I don't see very many people doing the Pokemon Go.
No, I don't see many people at all.
I mean, maybe it's because you've already gotten all your monsters, and so you don't have to.
And maybe that's it. But I go back to when you talk about fads, I go back to the boy bands of the 2000s, the NSYNCs, the Backstreet Boys, the 98 Degrees, all the stuff that was popular right when I was coming out of high school into college. That was such a popular time. That was also the time when reality TV came out. Reality TV was such a major fad that just kind of lingered. It's still around, obviously.
I was going to say, there's a lot of people that watch,
but it was
like the Real Housewives and all those reality shows.
The Kardashians. That's something that's dumb now. But back then, it was just getting started. It was the making of the band. MTV's putting together their own boy band, and this is how they're going to do it. And it was boy band this. Well, now there's the girl bands that are gonna rival them. It's that was a fad because once those went away, they were gone. I mean, because it was probably 2002, 2003. Boom, it was over with.
I know. Okay. So there's got to be something about the fad that touches our hearts or touches us some way, all these boy bands are now going back out on the road
together. They used to be rivals. Now they're
why? Because
the people
we remember them from our younger days, and we remember them fondly, and now we're going out. So the fad must be something that we think of fondly and say, "Gosh, I'm nostalgic."
You know what the perfect example for this is? Satellite radio.
Okay, explain.
Satellite radio.
Because I have XM in the car.
So you have Sirius XM.
Or Sirius XM, yeah.
You can go back, the 90s station, the 2000s station, whatever station. They have a station for everything. So if you want to feel nostalgic, if you want to feel, or hear some of the fads from back in the 90s, play the 90s on 9. They will play. I guarantee you'll hear a song like, oh yeah, that was all the rage. That song was killer. Like, How Bizarre. I fucking hated that song. I worked at Baskin Robbins in the summer of 1997 when that song came out, and all I would hear for hours on it, How Bizarre, How Bizarre. I fucking hate that song. 20 years later, hate that.
You got me crazy.
Oh, don't even start. It was so dumb, but satellite radio gives you that. You can go back and relive those fads for a little while. Faction radio, Hair Nation. Hair rock was a fad. Music has all these different fads. What's popular?
And nowadays, I mean, these songs last what seems like 15 minutes, and then they're gone. And then you have to go to the next song because, I mean, these artists release all these songs so quickly because their fame, not their fame, but the songs popularity is it's fleeting. It's like a month, and then that song is old, and they have to move on to the next one.
Well, it's like they always go back to in pop music, the songs of the summer. Every song summer has to have a song that just defines it in our culture's world. And this summer, I'd venture to say it's Despacito.
Oh yeah, I think so. I listen to the older stations.
So do I.
But when you listen to that song, though, sometimes it also takes you back to a different, more memorable time. Like, and I'm wondering if fads do that for us. Is that when we go back and remember? Like, I remember. Do you remember the fad, the Hacky Sack?
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, Hacky Sack was a fad.
When I was a kid, Hacky Sack was a fad.
It grew. People were kicking it all the time. And I remember I was in a play in middle school, and the adults who were in the play were always doing the Hacky Sack, and then they invited us to do it. And I never did it again. Like, I haven't gone in and tried to do it more or do anything else. But as soon as I think of that fad, that was just for that time. I've never done it again. I remember what I was doing during that time and what the memories were and what we were putting together for that play, and it brings me back. And maybe that's why these fads do make every 20 years they come back in a different form, but it brings back the nostalgia of that time.
Yeah, it's almost like the 90s and all the neon colors. It's funny because now the big thing to do now at bars, at 90s parties, 80s parties, come dressed as your favorite style of that era. And I always, I see the 90s parties, I always think of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's just maybe this
the colors,
the colors, the baggy pants, everything. And it's funny, there are timeless looks, and then there are fads. And you look back at pictures of yourself back in the day, and you thought that you had a timeless look. No, man, you had a fad. Like the way you dressed, the way I wore a lot of neon colors when I was a kid, because I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And my mom, God love her, just posted a picture of me when I was probably 7 or 8 years old.
Oh no!
Yeah, with what I thought was popular back in it'd be the late 80s, early 90s, and knee-high socks and wild colored looking shirts and shorts, and it's embarrassing. Nothing I would wear now. I'm a little more toned down, but.
Are you the type of person that looks back at your past and wants to relive it, or are you a forward-looking person and the past is what it is and I'm moving forward?
I'm probably more the latter.
Okay.
The past is what it is. It was a great time. Yeah, there's some moments if I can go back and do it again, I would, but I feel like I'm past it. I've been there. I've done that.
Okay.
We both have a boss, a former boss that we both worked for at some points in our career, and he always said it best. He goes, if I could go back and do it again, I would, but only if I had the knowledge I have now and the money I have now. And then he talked about college with that. Everything else, I'm not sure he would have.
Yeah.
Would I go back to high school? No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all.
Some people, people, their whole life started and ended in high school.
Oh.
That was their life. Like, that was
That's where they peaked.
Their 4 years. They peaked.
Right? You peaked in high school.
And some of the fads that I think about, like, for example, the Hacky Sack, or different kinds of music like we were talking about, they do bring me back to a moment where there was more simplicity, there was less stresses, there was less life experiences that it makes me smile. And when you see a Hacky Sack, when you haven't seen one in 20 years or 30 years for me, it's kind of an exciting bring you back to simpler times, easier times. But maybe that's just because it touched my heart. Whatever the fad was, in this case, it brought me back to a moment where it brought back good memories.
And I go back to that with Sirius XM radio again because of the different stations. If I there's a station that's coming online here in the next couple days called Turbo, and Turbo is all like rock and metal music from the 2000s, and that's all for early 2000s.
That's your bag, baby.
That's my bag.
That's your wheelhouse.
That's my wheelhouse. It's like Lithium for some people is all grunge. So you turn on grunge, you hear Nirvana, you hear Soundgarden, you hear all this stuff. Like, yeah, man, that takes me back, and it's considered classic rock now. But we all have that music or the Hacky Sack or something from that era where it was a fad. But still your fad because it was the era you grew up in that you were most, what's the best way to put it, most influenced by?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the best way to put it. So it takes you back. It just gives you that few minutes of, oh, man, it was so cool back then.
Well,
or I thought it was the coolest, at least.
Okay, so I'll be honest. So 2007 was the year of the first Fast and the Furious.
2001 was.
Or 2001. I'm sorry. What did I say? 2007.
Yeah.
No. 2001 was the first Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
To me, that was a fad. Okay, hey, this is a movie about cars. Okay, kind of cool, drifting. People loved it so much that they have created this 10-movie franchise of pretty much the same topic because it touched their hearts, right? I mean, it got them excited or got them like they're loyal to the Fast and the Furious franchise.
I don't think that's how it went down.
You don't?
Okay,
how about Alien franchise?
Yeah, I'd be more apt to agree with the aliens because Fast and the Furious is it's a money grab. They happen to catch once they got The Rock involved. They caught a windfall, and it was a whole different heist movie versus.
You know what
racing.
though? They wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it if it didn't make money. Are we saying that Fast and the Furious without The Rock may not have continued? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't think it would have continued the same way because
Okay.
by the time he came on, he was getting to be the biggest movie star in the world. So him playing Hobbs in that movie was probably the reason it's still going, and we're still being stuck with the shit that they're putting out.
So who created, for example, let's take the fidget spinner.
Mm-hmm.
Who created that, and who is making millions of dollars off that?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Is someone making millions of dollars?
I'm sure they are.
Because you and I need to come up with the fad.
We've been trying. How about pet water bottles?
Yeah. We could put little faces on it.
You could decorate your own water bottle. We'll sell the kits. Decorate your own water bottle and make it yours.
I would love to know how someone comes up, like a fidget spinner. I've never seen one before recently. Never seen one, and I've seen a lot of things, but I've never seen one before. Who came up with that idea, and how did they market it, and how they sell it? So now that it's the biggest craze,
I agree.
and those fidget spinners are gone all the time. Like you go into stores, I go in gas stations, and people have fidget spinners.
I agree. I don't understand why. I don't.
And you know that in 5 years, the fidget spinner will be dead in terms of the interest. Like people won't continue to buy fidget spinners.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just so popular right now. And fads like that, when you think of a fad, maybe in 25 years it'll come back, and it'll come back new and improved. But all the kids that own them, like, oh my gosh, I had a fidget spinner when I was 10. It was so awesome.
No, I agree. I don't know who comes up with these ideas. I'm not sure how they catch fire, but when they do, they're just
like Pokemon Go. I mean, Pokemon was.
But that also played off.
That was something that was already there, and then someone expanded.
Yeah, because 20 years ago, Pokemon was a fad. It was. I mean, when that card game got started, it was a huge thing, and then it wasn't a thing, and then all of a sudden they had this online game you could play on your phone where you can go catch them all, and then boom, it was there, and now it's gone again.
Yeah.
Now it's gone again. So who knows what's next?
Yeah.
You know, wrestling does that.
Smurfs did that. Remember the cartoons? Then 20 years, no one heard about it, and then they started making CGI movies with all that stuff, and people went to go see them.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, come on, who's gonna go to see the Smurfs? And the movie was a huge hit.
Yeah, it's true.
And maybe it's because now these adults are those kids that watch Smurfs are now adults, and they want to introduce their
nostalgia
kids.
It's nostalgia too. So maybe that's the thing is maybe we're confusing fads with nostalgia also, because nostalgia makes us feel it's the Baz Luhrmann song. Everyone's free to wear sunscreen. You know, it's nostalgia. It's taking back to a time. It's taking you back to how you remember things in a positive way.
There was a movie that came out at Christmas time, and I'm sorry it's escaping me, but it was a remake of an old time movie that they remade. And man, I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but all I could remember is they want to introduce I'm sorry, it was a live version of a cartoon from our youth.
A live version?
Yeah, and oh dang it!
Last Christmas?
I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'll think of it in 3 days, and
the minute we go off the air.
Do amendments on the. But it was one of those things where, Beauty and the Beast. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, Disney's
Beauty
doing
and
that.
Beast.
Disney's capitalizing on nostalgia all the time. Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing, is that it was such an iconic movie that came out, and we reinvented it again with live this
CGI,
time,
yeah.
and CGI. Fads. Maybe the fads catch the moment in our lives. They're the markers in our lives that differentiate between just a straight existence with no break or no reference point.
I think it's the difference between fads and nostalgia too, and maybe that's a good way to leave the show today. Would be there's a difference between fads and nostalgia. Fads come and go. The fads are gone just as much. I said that wrong. Fads show up, they set the world on fire, and they leave. And then in 20 years, like you said, they turn retro, they turn into nostalgia. Disney has never set out to make their movies fad. They always put out quality cartoons, and now their fad is taking those and creating nostalgia by making the live action versions. They've got The Lion King and Aladdin all being produced right now to be live action movies in the next 2 years. So you catch a tiger by the tail with that. But why don't you go ahead and find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram at Liquid Kernedge, and tell us about something that you thought was your favorite fad.
And what it means to you. That would be interesting. I'd be interested to see what fads mean to you, or what fads have marked your life as the mileposts in your life that have given you the nostalgia to look back 20 years later and say, oh my gosh, I remember when I was a kid, this was my fidget spinner, or this was like the Rubik's Cube, or whatever that might be out there.
Exactly. So
awesome.
I'd say find us on Liquid Kernedge, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Thanks for listening today. I'm Scott.
I'm Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.